Good afternoon and welcome to the 7th flight test of Starship. It is currently 4:03 p.m. Central Time here at Starbase, Texas, and it is a beautiful and breezy afternoon for another flight around the world. I'm Kate Tice, Senior Quality Systems Engineering Manager at SpaceX, and I'm joining Dan for my first ever in-person Starship launch at Starbase. You can see the rocket behind us. It's mind-blowing. This is quite the view, Dan.
No better seat in the house, no better thing to talk about a rocket as you watch it launch. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Starbase for another Starship launch. I'm Dan Hewitt from SpaceX Communications. We are at T-minus under 33 minutes and counting. Our T0 time coming a little after the bottom of the hour. Now, Starship program has brought us nonstop excitement back in 2024. This year shaping up to be even bigger.
Absolutely. We're looking at even more launches of Starship this year with tons of exciting firsts starting today. Flight 7 has a lot in store, from Starship's next generation upper stage design on its first flight today to deploying the first simulated Starlink satellites and the second booster catch attempt. We're kicking off 2025 in style here in the Lone Star State. So hold on to your butts because it's going to be a wild year.
And it's all ramping up as we chase after that full reusability for the world's biggest rocket. And we're going to be with you today every step of the way. Also joining us, though, amid a very excited crowd growing over there in Hawthorne, is Jesse Anderson. Jesse, how's everything going in LA?
Hey, Dan and Kate, everything is all good here on the factory floor. We're just outside of mission control, and we're T-minus 31 minutes away, but we already have a really big crowd here building. There you go. Starting to build up here. Every flight of Starship has made huge progress, and today is another exciting one. We're joined by Starship, Raptor, and Starlink teams here with me today, and everyone is getting super excited for this flight test. So with that in mind, I expect it to get very loud in here soon. But for now, I'm going to hand it back over to you guys at Starbase for a quick look back at the flights that brought us here today.
Hey, thanks, Jesse. Now, the more we fly safely, the faster we learn, the sooner we realize full and rapid reuse. The previous 6 flight tests proved we're on the right track. Each one of those tests provides a ton of invaluable data and, of course, some pretty great views along the way.
Oh, yeah. Every one of those tests informed the upgrades that are debuting on today's flight test. And you know, we've all been watching this, following through the incredible testing campaign for every flight, and man, I can't wait for today as well as everything else we've got planned this year.
Just a recap of what happened just before this flight test. Our most recent one was back in November 19th. That was Flight 6. It lifted off at 4 p.m. Central from Starbase, Texas, just a couple miles over our shoulders.
It was a gorgeous sunset ascent. Let's take a look.
Attention all flight crew members, flight is go for launch.
It's been just over a month since Flight 5. The goal is to get that turnaround time down to hours.
We have liftoff. Stage separation.
30 seconds until catch decision.
Booster offshore diverge.
Tune in and watch the ship fly around planet Earth.
Relight demo startup. And shutdown.
Starship is at 100 kilometers altitude. Flaps now have control of the vehicle. Starship has started the subsonic belly flop. Starship has landed.
All right, now today's flight test is going to look pretty similar profile-wise to that last one and honestly the last couple. So everything starts off, as always, with liftoff. The Super Heavy igniting those 33 Raptor engines. Super Heavy going to power us through that initial ascent, get Starship on its way to space before we get to the hot stage maneuver.
Exactly. The ship will then ignite engines while it's still attached to the booster. That will allow us to separate the two stages. That booster will leave a few engines on for that flip and return back here to Starbase for a catch at the launch tower.
And while booster catch is blowing our minds, ship keeps going all the way to space, gets into its suborbital trajectory. Got a couple on-orbit things. We're going to deploy our first test satellites, also going to relight a Raptor engine while in space. That all sets us up then for re-entry.
As we have seen on the previous flights, courtesy of Starlink, that re-entry period gives us such gorgeous views. It's like, just a rainbow flow of colors as the ship re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. The ship will relight its engines, perform a flip maneuver for a soft water landing in our targeted location in the Indian Ocean. And that will once again be daylight given our later launch window. So today's flight test will be launching the next generation of Starship. It'll attempt the first payload deployment test, fly multiple re-entry experiments geared toward ship catch and reuse, and of course, the launch and return of the Super Heavy booster back to the launch site right there behind us.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing, but ship, kind of the star of the show for a lot of stuff today. A huge block of upgrades to Starship's upper stage are debuting on this flight test, adding more capability. We'll start off up top. Those forward flaps got a redesign. They shrunk in size. We shifted them towards the top of the vehicle, away from the heat shield. That's going to make it significantly less exposed to re-entry heating. And then Starship itself, we made it about 2 meters taller. So we stretched it up to about 52 meters. That allowed us to add 25% more propellant volume, along with a bunch of propulsion upgrades like vacuum jacketing of those feed lines to the engines, an entirely new feed line system for the Raptor vacuum engines, an improved avionics module for propulsion, all that adding performance and the ability to fly longer missions.
And just like on Flight 6, tiles have been purposely removed to stress test vulnerable areas. This time we're doing it across the entire vehicle, including in critical areas, as we use this flight to push the boundaries of Starship's capabilities. And for re-entry experiments, multiple metallic tiles are being tested, as you can see there on your screen, including some that have a version with active cooling.
Then the vehicle's avionics, its brains, got a complete redesign. Some of the new things, we've got 4 of these upgraded Starlink terminals that combine Starlink, global navigation, and RF communications into a single unit. And then on the sides of the vehicle, we have these catch fittings. They're non-structural, but we're going to be able to see how they perform thermally during re-entry. We also smoothed part of that tile line to address some hot spots that we saw during entry on the last flight.
Now the ship and the booster, they weren't the only thing to get some upgrades. On the ground side, several radar sensors will be tested on the tower catch arms as we experiment with additional ways to measure distance between the arms and the vehicle while we prepare for ship catch. Now this is just a handful of the many upgrades included on this flight that make this the most capable Starship that we've flown so far.
And then something really cool has me super excited. We're going to be deploying 10 Starlink simulators that are similar in size to our next generation Starlink satellites. With pretty unparalleled payload capacity and full reusability, Starship's going to be able to deploy our more advanced V3 Starlink satellites, which is going to help us continue to revolutionize global connectivity. Each of those Starlink V3 launches on Starship is going to add about 60 terabits per second of capacity to the Starlink network. And that alone is that's more than 20 times the capacity we're getting with every V2 Mini flight on a Falcon 9 right now. That just helps further Starlink's impact in the coming years as we expand access to high-speed internet all around the world and eventually beyond. And those Starlink simulators are going to be on the same suborbital trajectory as Starship, and they're expected to demise upon entry. Starship itself, its trajectory looks very similar to all of our last several flights, suborbital, splashdown targeted into the Indian Ocean, a couple hundred miles off the western coast of Australia. And then the other on-orbit thing we're doing is going to be relighting a single Raptor engine while in space. We knocked that out last time. V2 ship, new propellant system. Let's do it again on this one.
Ship's going to be busy. Now, of course, we can't forget to add that today's super heavy booster is reflying flight-proven hardware for the first time. A Raptor engine that flew on the booster that was caught during Starship's 5th flight test. You can see it there on your screen. This flight-proven engine, we've got Raptor 314 there, hence why there's a piece of pie on this nozzle. Maybe we can get that image rotated so you can see it a little bit better. Yeah, there we go. If you didn't already know, we like our jokes around here. So that's what we have planned for today's flight test. And so far, everything is on track as we continue to count down. We're now within 23 minutes of launch. We're at 22 minutes and 52 seconds. Everything continues to look good. Still a little breezy, but that's okay for us.
Yeah, we set up our desk in a wind tunnel today. It's probably windier here than it is anywhere else, but weather's cooperating, really clear skies, no rain today, still well within our limits for booster launch or catch. Not tracking any issues on vehicle as we continue to count down. We're still loading prop on board. Our range team also reporting that the range looks like it will be clear at our current T0. So that's super important. We're going to keep an eye on that all the way up to the end.
As for what we've already done with the vehicle leading up to today, we stacked the vehicle over the weekend. We lifted the ship on top of the super heavy booster. Hours ago, we cleared the site of all personnel. And of course, our flight controllers came on console, some of them sitting in the building behind Dan and I. And as Dan mentioned, the range team was deployed. They are standing by in the Gulf to make sure that the booster has a clear to return back to here at the launch tower, but also they're located in the Indian Ocean, standing by to make sure that the targeted landing zone for the ship is also clear as well.
And then we knock out a whole bunch of things in the hours before launch. We do an alignment on all the guidance, navigation, and control. We did tank purges, pressure checkouts, make sure we were ready for prop load, check the booster, quick disconnects, and the ship one. We demate the chopsticks. We actually do a little wiggle check on them, make sure we have control, as we're going to be using those for catch. Load up all of the hydraulics that are on the tower, and then we did the initial locks and methane chills, getting them ready for prop load.
Now, speaking of prop load, we conducted the go, no-go poll for prop load at 3:30, so a little bit less than an hour ago. All was good there. Prop load is underway. The LOX load on the booster started at T-minus 45 minutes, and fuel started at T-minus 43 minutes. Booster fuel will start at T-minus 41 minutes, and then LOX on the booster started at T-minus 35. So that will all wrap up at T-minus 3 minutes and 20 minutes on the ship side, and at T-minus 2 minutes and 50 seconds on the booster side. So everything is looking good. Propellant is loading.
Yeah, looks like we're about half full of everything on booster, 3/4 of the way there on ship, looking good for a launch today. With that, though, let's jump over. Let's check back in with Jesse real quick and all of our teams out at Hawthorne.
Thanks, Dan and Kate, and great to hear the updates with the vehicle as we prepare for liftoff. There is a lot more people here, as expected. Love it. All the Raptor engines are built here, so there's a lot of that team here in the crowd, so they have a strong connection to the Starship flight today. Every flight test gets us closer to a fully operational Starship, which gets us closer to our ultimate goal to make humanity a multi-planetary species. To establish cities on Mars, we're going to need high-cadence, low-cost flights for cargo and crew. As the only fully reusable rocket with this kind of capability, Starship is the only vehicle in development that will be able to unlock our multi-planet future. Starship uses a first-of-its-kind on-orbit propellant transfer to refuel in orbit in preparation for these long trips. With milestones like ship catch and in-orbit prop transfer coming up, 2025 promises to be huge for Starship and our journey to Mars, with our first trip currently planned for the end of 2026.
Welcome everyone to another stream with me, Ken. Today we are playing for Flight 7 Starship. We are going to be lifting off at the launch complex of Starship, or Launch 39AB. something or other. Pad, cannot remember at the moment. But as you see, go to Mars. And we are on V2 now, upgraded officially. So I'm hoping you guys enjoy the stream. I'm going to be enjoying it as well. The logo will disappear. I won't disappear. And I'll be joining you guys for the stream. If you want, get your badges. Go to NSF, not advertisement. It's just I like buying their badges and it represents you watch the stream. So badges, 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 many of them. Got my 7th, well, pre-ordered.
These upgrades will also unlock our ability to fly longer missions, something that we'll want to do as we start doing orbital flights around Earth.
And then to get an even better sense of just how big Starship is, we can start here. Let's take a person about 2 meters tall. Towering over that, you got your Millennium Falcon clocking in at 35. Just above that, we've got a Falcon 9 rocket, payload variant attached. Double that height, you're up at 70 meters. And then topping it all off, nearly twice the size, it's a fully stacked Starship up to 123, got 2 meters taller. Altogether, the ship, 52 meters, super heavy boosters, 71. And what's super fun is we're going to make ship and booster even taller in the future.
Jesus.
Which is crazy because turning around and looking at it and thinking that it's going to be bigger, that's mind-blowing.
Make the ship as tall as the booster.
Now, moving up the rocket, the ship features 6 Raptor engines.
Yep.
3 optimized for sea level performance and 3 optimized for vacuum performance. Raptor Vacuum, or RVAC, is a similar design to the Raptor engine, but features a larger exhaust section and a larger expansion nozzle to maximize the engine's efficiency in space. Our upgraded ship that we're debuting today carries about 300 more tons of propellant than the last flight's ship, bumping it up from 1,200 metric tons to about 1,500 metric tons. It's a lot. The ship is designed for vertical takeoff and landing on any hard surface. Now, the ship is also outfitted with newly redesigned forward flaps that are used to aerodynamically control the vehicle's attitude during atmospheric flight and enable a precision landing. The new flaps are lighter and positioned more leeward or away from the heat shield.
To reach full reusability, the ship has to be able to survive re-entry not just one time, but
it's taller than the actual chopsticks.
The ship's
now,
heat shield
so
is essentially what does the job for that. We've been iterating on that every single flight, building towards that heat shield that requires no refurbishment between flights.
Been replaced. They're pretty cool.
The heat shield is composed of thousands of hexagonal ceramic tiles. They're designed to insulate the vehicle during that atmospheric entry where temperatures ramp up to as high as about 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit. A rapidly reusable heat shield has never been flown in history, so continuously improving this, flying new experiments, those are all key focuses of all of our flight tests right now.
And in between the first and second stages is our hot stage, which we saw in actions on flights 2 through 6. The hot staging maneuver is when the upper stage engines are ignited before the booster engines, before those booster engines are completely cut off. With hot staging, the rocket never stops accelerating during separation, so it's more efficient than traditional stage separation. One of the hallmarks of Starship flights are the incredible views that we get throughout flight, of course, courtesy of Starlink. Every day, we're working to expand the Starlink network both on Earth and in space. Here's Jesse with more.
But they need to reuse it.
Fans of Starship may know that Starlink enables us to bring you lots of unprecedented views
Starlink
both
helps
from
the
space
cameras record
and
everything.
here on Earth. In addition to the dozens of cameras on Starship itself, we also have mobile Starlink camera kits deployed in the Indian Ocean, connected to our aerial assets and all around Starbase, which all come together to help tell the incredible story of Starship, both on and off planet. Thanks to Starlink, Starship is capable of streaming more than 120 megabits of real-time, high-definition
Christ, that's
video and
fast.
telemetry in every phase of flight, providing
Actually,
invaluable
to be fact,
engineering
I
data
went
to
out
help engineers
last
rapidly
night
iterate
and 2
across
nights ago,
all systems.
and I got my old
all that
telescope
streaming
out,
data will be put to good
and I went
use
to go
with
see the
the
moon,
more
and it
than
looks
30
really cool.
cameras on the
Didn't realise
vehicle for
until
today's
I watched
flight
a few
test.
days ago. So it's
Starlink
pretty
is
cool.
the world's largest satellite constellation, operating in low Earth orbit
Yeah, it
to
is.
deliver high-speed,
I think
low-latency
it's got over
broadband
100 and
internet,
something
providing access to
satellites
people
now in
around the
space.
world, many who have never
Realise
had
that's quite a
connectivity
lot.
before. Starlink now serves more than 119 countries, territories, and other markets. And here at SpaceX, we've been developing Starlink's communication capabilities not
Jesus.
just for humans on Earth, but for astronauts in space.
That's
Our recent
insane.
Polaris Dawn mission, we deployed a high-speed
insane.
internet connection in
Man,
Dragon for
that's
the very
insane.
first time. Here's a quick look at how that went.
Starlink is an amazing confluence of programs at SpaceX. So we have a whole corner of the company that owns and operates a multiple thousand satellite constellation.
Yeah, the
to provide
satellites,
internet to people on Earth.
now the costing,
So Dragon
they
was
don't
modified
tell
for
you.
Polaris Dawn to
I was
have
told
a
for a
laser and a
subscription,
Star
just for the
Trekker
subscription
inside of
itself,
the trunk.
was
And then it
£26
will
a month.
obtain internet,
in the
both
UK.
uplink and downlink
And
through that
the
laser
buying
link,
would
and
probably
it's
be
connected
40 or
to a
50
Wi-Fi
pounds
router,
on
just
top.
like you would have in your house.
Getting online with Starlink
That's
was
it.
super
But
easy.
It
you have
was
to
just
carry
like
a
getting
giant
online
satellite
at home,
around.
and even easier,
Or
perhaps.
you start
It
with
just
T-Mobile and
connected
get it for
automatically
free.
and then
Well,
worked
with this
seamlessly.
package.
And then it was just
Which one do you
internet
want? The
in
big
space.
satellite or T-Mobile?
The Starlink performance on orbit blew us away.
I'm
It
not
enabled
sure
us
yet.
to talk directly with mission control team, and it also enabled us two-way video connection with our families back at home. So it just was an incredible resource.
One of my favorite memories is,
NASA
all four of
partnered up
us in
with
different parts of the spacecraft
Starlink
on
to
phones with our
the space
earpieces,
station. It's
talking
pretty
to our
cool.
families.
You know, seeing
Get
that
to show
being
them
partnered
the
up, but
perspective
it's
that we have of
like
Earth.
your
Was
one
very cool to
place.
bring them into the
In
mission
my
that
opinion,
way.
it's
I was able to show my kids and my husband, what it
See,
looks like to be floating in space.
Starlink
I got
is
to show them out
amazing,
the
right?
window.
I'm
My
not gonna
husband
say
even
it's not- it's
exclaimed that
amazing,
at one point we hung
but
up the
it's
call
the
and
cost
he
at the
called
moment.
back
I
and I
wouldn't,
answered
I wouldn't
and
go
he was
for it
like,
until
"I
the
called
costs come
space."
down, or they've got a
Starlink
reliable
Dragon is
way
something
of
that
having
we want to
it
include
on your
because
phone on any
we have this
network.
company
Because at the
within
moment,
SpaceX that
it's
has
not
space-based
great
internet. So
on
what
one
not a better
network.
way
It
to
should be on
test
all
space-based
networks
internet
combined.
in space.
And then plus on that, you don't pay a fortune because
From connecting astronauts in
just don't
space to
need
providing
to.
high-speed internet to more than
So,
4.6
I'd buy to go
million
to
active
Starlink,
customers here on Earth, the
but
Starlink
I'm
team
gonna
is
wait until it gets a
laser-focused
little
on
less,
expanding
and
coverage,
then I'll go for it.
increasing speeds, and lowering latency
I
so that we
think
can
that's
connect
what's
as
gonna
many
be
as
my
possible
choice.
around the world and beyond. Last year, we
If you don't
activated
agree with me,
Starlink in
don't agree with me. If you
27 new
do,
markets and are
it's
now
in the
covering a
UK.
global area home to 2.8
That's
billion
you
people,
roll. That's a
including
big.
those
If
who
you
live
see the
in some
spot
of the
in
most
London,
remote
that's like
places on
bright
Earth.
as anything.
To meet the growing global demand for high-speed
Jesus,
internet,
look at the UK,
SpaceX
it's gone
opened a new
completely-
700,000
Oh
square
my
foot
God.
factory in
Oh
Bastrop,
my
Texas,
God.
and introduced
UK,
Starlink
God.
Mini as well
Oh,
as an upgraded
no.
version of the
UK
Starlink
just
standard kit.
instant-
The SpaceX team also
Jesus.
achieved an unprecedented
This
launch
covers the
cadence,
entirety of the
conducting
UK, literally.
134 Falcon launches, with 89
Pretty cool.
dedicated
Except
to
from
expanding the
Scotland, there's a
Starlink
bit.
constellation. With each launch, Starlink adds more capacity to the constellation and continues to expand its coverage, connecting even more
I
people in
wouldn't
underserved and
invest in
hardest to
Starlink
reach
at the moment,
areas of
just
the globe.
because
Now,
it's
while our
great,
mission to connect the unconnected is
but
far from complete,
as you
you can
can
check out
see,
some of the
that's
Starlink
a
team's
massive
highlights from
satellite to carry
2024
around.
and
If
learn
you're
more
going
about
out,
how our customers are
exploring the
furthering
world,
Starlink's
yeah, buy it
impact
immediately
around the
because you're gonna
world
need it.
at
But if you're
starlink.com/stories.
needing it for yourself at home,
And a little bit closer
I'd
to
just stick
home,
with
we
it
do
in
have a
normal
few
internet for now,
updates for those
just
impacted by
because
the fires
it's
here in Southern
a lot.
California.
but it's fast
So
connection.
far, the Starlink
so
team has provided
it's up to you.
about
But for me at the moment,
1,350
wait,
free kits to fire departments and other disaster response
So they give it to
organizations
free
from down
stuff.
in Orange
That's
County
great. I love
all the
to
way
see
up to
that.
Malibu.
I love how that works.
That is in addition to applying free Starlink service for thousands of customers impacted by the fires all across the Los Angeles area.
And plus that, Ukraine.
And just as
They've-
critically, since
they've
enabling
supplied
our
to Ukraine
direct-to-cell
with
satellites
Starlink
with
satellites.
T-Mobile,
Amazing
more
work.
than
You know,
120,000
that's pretty
text
cool.
messages
You
have been
get to
sent,
see all of this
allowing
stuff
those in
happen.
impacted areas
They're
to reach
helping
loved
as well,
ones,
instead
text
of-
911, or receive emergency alerts. I've never been prouder to be an employee at SpaceX for moments like that where we can help
She's
the
being
people
paid a
and community
fortune.
around us.
Everyone gets paid a
Make sure to follow at Starlink on X for updates as we continue to work with local response teams. And check out starlink.com/LA-wildfires for more information on these efforts.
Right, I'm a Starship fellow.
But back to today's flight test. One of our objectives is to return the booster to the launch site where it will be caught by the tower as we did on Flight Test 5. So let's head back to Dan and Kate for a catch
and this
primer.
is the thing, they're using radar. Well.
Thanks, Jesse. We are now T-minus 8 minutes and 40 seconds until liftoff. Flight controllers on console there in the building just behind Dan and I. You can actually see the rocket in the distance at the pad 6 miles away. Our excitement is growing. I already am not sure if I'm going to be able to remain coherent after witnessing this, so looking forward to it.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right. Just a quick status check. The ship fully loaded in its main tanks on LOX and fuel. We're going to load the header tanks, and booster is going to be closing out real soon as well. Let's talk about that second catch attempt, though. So we're going to use the tower's 2 gigantic robotic arms called the chopsticks. Same thing we used to stack Starship onto Super Heavy for all the integration ahead of a flight, and that's what we used to catch by moving stuff like landing legs from the booster to the ground side. It's a lighter booster, means you can carry more into space.
Always give me
Now, in a nominal operational scenario following liftoff and after the 2 stages separate in flight, Super Heavy will return to the launch site, reignite its engines to slow the vehicle down, and the tower's arms will catch the rocket booster.
And just to get to this point, just like before, thousands of distinct vehicle pad criteria have to be met prior to that return and catch. We need healthy systems on the booster, healthy systems on the tower, and a manual command from our mission flight director for the day. If we don't send that command before the boost back burn ends, or if any of those automated checks kick us out, that's what happened on Flight 6, the Super Heavy booster will divert to an offshore trajectory, and it'll go out and do a landing burn in a soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
Now, we have said it before, but it remains true today. We accept no compromises when it comes to ensuring the safety of the public and our team, and that return will only take place if the conditions are right.
And one of the unique aspects of Starship flights is the return and the catch of that Super Heavy booster and the audible sonic boom that it comes with it in the area around the return location. General impact to anyone in the area is just a brief thunder-like noise, but it definitely lets you know it's coming.
Oh, yeah. It's something our neighbors in Cape Canaveral, Florida, and Vandenberg, California have become accustomed to over the years, and now we're bringing the boom to Boca. So here's a peek of what to expect.
Boca Chica Village. This is the boom. I mean, that would have hurt you quite quickly, wouldn't it? Oh no, that's loud. Just from that angle, it's loud. Imagine being there. You'd go deaf before it even hits the ground.
As I mentioned earlier, we have Starship, Raptor, and Starlink employees here fully invested in this flight test. And of course, many other SpaceX employees also here across our site supporting their teams. Their teammates. Every flight test has been pretty unique, and we're all very excited for another round of firsts, but I'm pretty sure the crowd is looking forward to potentially watching those chopsticks catch another booster. So let's see how excited they are today.
That's some of the worst thing I've seen in a while. They had to physically get the crowd to cheer. That's not great.
Just under 5 minutes.
I think that must be worked on.
We're all very excited here. We're going to send it back to you at Starbase for the final minutes of the countdown.
Can we get Starlink out here, please? It's going to bum me out completely. Just yeah.
All right, thank you, Jesse.
4 minutes, come on. 2 minutes is usually when they stop mark, where it could go, or they delay it by another hour.
Just a quick status check. So we're almost fully loaded on the booster. We'll be fully loaded on the ship, fully loaded on the booster coming up soon. Our range team just reported that we're looking go in the range. That's super important.
Great
Our
news.
security guys, Mike, Kyle, Nick, the whole team
So
out there in
that
the
must be
elements,
the
making
control
sure
room there.
everything's
That's pretty
clear,
cool,
doing a
actually.
fantastic job. And we are coming up on
Donald Trump's
4
up
minutes
there.
and looking good
I
for
don't
launch.
think he is.
Yeah,
That's fine.
certainly exciting. Now, we do have an opportunity to hold at T-minus 40 seconds if
Oh, I
necessary.
thought
This
it
is a
was 2
chance for
minutes.
us
They
to
must have changed it.
perform additional checks if necessary.
That's my fault.
If we, need to repressurize some tanks, or if there's a wayward
think they
vessel
need
in the
to,
range
because
last
they usually
minute,
get it
opportunity
right
to clear it out.
quite a lot.
But everything currently looking good. Now, once we pass T-minus 40 seconds, a number of events will occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems come up to flight pressure. The ship will go to internal power. After that,
Yeah, so you
the
can see
quick
it's being
disconnect
loaded
or
at the moment
QD
on the
arm
screen, like, you
lockout
can
is
see being
removed in
loaded.
preparation for retraction, which will
No,
happen shortly
nothing
after
pictures of them,
T0.
mate. I'm gonna have to get rid of it. I
And
think
yeah, once
it's-
we pass T-minus 40 seconds, we do have the
No,
ability.
it's being loaded. You can see it actually being loaded.
We
in real
have the
time.
ability to recycle the count under certain
And once it's
conditions
reloaded, so you can see the
back to that
tanks are a lot
T-minus
bigger
40
on the
second
second
mark
stage,
and hold there to
Starship
assess
stage.
what happened and
was smaller,
assess
but it was
opportunity
now
to
bigger,
proceed
so
again
you get a
to
bit more fuel, a
T0.
bit more
Yep, we've used that
efficient.
T-minus 40 hold a couple
Weathers
of
go,
times.
Rangers go, vehicles go.
Boats usually
Yeah.
one of
Good
the
to go.
items, but we
waiting
aren't
for the
tracking
tanks
anything
to
right
be
now
pulled
that would
up.
cause
I
us to
can't keep
hold
doing
there.
that.
We can hold there for several minutes. Main thing you're watching at is
Look at
kind
that
of
view.
you kind of
It's
set a
about real
clock
beach, by the way.
because your
People actually go and
temperatures
swim that
will
beach, by the
change,
way.
the fuel
Not
unlocks
there,
everything pretty
because that's
quickly, so
being
you've got a
safe,
couple
but
of minutes so you
a
can
few
hang
miles
out
away
and
or
figure
kilometers
things
away,
out.
they'll
There are
swim in there.
items that
Not
if
now.
we pass
Definitely
them,
not now.
we're
And
scrubbed
then
for the day. One of the
They'll be
main
done.
ones.
You can see the road
One of the main
goes
ones
straight
is
to
that
the
flame
beach.
deflector
Well, you
at the
can
bottom
swim
of the
right
launch
next to
mount.
the launch
Water
pad.
begins
I just
flowing from
realised
that at the
that.
T-minus
That's
10 second mark.
That's
If we scrub at any point after that, we'll be done for the day. And the teams will need to
Oh, dear.
refill the deflector as well as all of our
Man,
prop
that's
that we
that's
use to load
insane.
on board the
That's pretty
vehicle.
insane.
It's pretty much just under 11
Oh,
million pounds
crap,
of
what
prop
the
setting on
hell?
that thing right now.
My belt's got
We
caught.
can actually
That's
recycle
not-
in about
no
24
good.
hours now. So
Which is incredible given
That
the
hurts.
sheer
Yeah.
volume of propellant that is on board the vehicle there on your screen.
It does look
All right.
nice, the view.
coming up on the 2-minute mark. Again, a lot of ambitious things on the plate for Starship today.
T-minus 2 minutes.
New ship, new year, a lot of upgrades, doing a lot of ambitious things in space this time. Our first payload deploy, relighting a Raptor engine.
Relight.
Yeah.
We're looking good.
So as we mentioned before, we have an opportunity to hold at T-minus 40 seconds, not tracking any issues at the moment
hyped. I'm
that
too hyped. I'm way
would be
too hyped for
necessary
this.
right now. So fingers crossed we can pass through
I
that
think they
checkpoint
fixed the
without
flaring
stopping.
issue on the
But
flaps. I'm
the
not
folks
sure,
on
but they
console
said
are
they have done a
continuing
lot of
to
work for it.
evaluate the launch commit
So it's not
criteria,
gonna
making
cause
sure
problems
that
with
the
the
winds are
flaps.
within
If you
limits
look
as
at the
well
last
as any
stream, they
other
had
weather
flap
restrictions.
issues.
But
The
man,
lap when
compared to
having
yesterday,
birds,
this
like-
is a textbook gorgeous day.
Oh yeah, little breezy
Yeah.
today, but we got clear blue skies for a
See, there
launch
was a
today.
weather front moving in, so
So at
that's
this
gone.
point, all the prop has
Yes,
been loaded on the
it's gone.
vehicle. We've closed
Yes.
everything out.
So we're
We're
finally
doing
getting
our
somewhere.
final thrust vector control,
1 minute.
or steering
Nearly
for the
1 minute.
engine checkouts.
Nearly 1 minute.
Once we hit the 30-second mark, we'll hear the flight director
1 minute.
give the final go for
There you go.
launch. So we're under a minute. As we said, we're not expecting a hold at T-minus 40. But do not be shocked if that happens. It has happened in the past, and we can hang out there for a couple of minutes if we need to.
If memory serves me right,
Let me hold my breath for 4 seconds.
Pass through prop load gate.
All right, we passed right through that prop load gate.
hot diggity dog.
All right, so we're going to let our flight director, Tayani,
No,
to take
Flight
it
directors,
away.
go for launch.
We'll go for launch.
And 20 seconds.
Deluge systems kicking in. Should now be kicking in. That's the flight termination systems.
T-minus 10, 9, 8,
There's the deluge system
7,
now kicking in.
6,
4,
5, 4, 3,
2,
2,
1.
1.
Fire! There we go. Launch.
We have liftoff.
B2. New interface. Look at it go. That's my team.
The vehicle's pitching downrange.
Look at it go, man. Looks like it's good propellant. That's a good sign. And all engines are running. That's even better. That's 33 Raptor engines all going. That's a lot of thrust. That's more thrust than
All
I
right,
did.
we're more than 30 seconds into flight. Telemetry showing 33 out of 33 engines as it's pitching down range.
Booster, chip, avionics, power, and telemetry nominal.
Good. It's a good sign. Now
Here are
we're
good call outs
gonna
on the
hit
ship and
1,000
booster avionics.
kilometers.
You just heard
That's
the
70
rumble
kilometers
hitting
in the
us
car.
about 6 miles
1,000
away.
times
Watching Starship
Yeah,
arc into just
that's insane.
endless blue skies right now.
speed. I'm seeing some metal peeling off on the side. Is that
Vehicle
normal?
supersonic.
More than a minute into flight, the vehicle's
I think that's just
supersonic.
the cover. It's the cover for the chopsticks.
Max Q.
That's cute.
So we just passed through Max Q.
One of the
That's the
covers are
greatest
like
stress
coming
the
apart.
vehicle's going to experience on the way uphill.
That's a cover for the
Reminder
for the
that
landing
all of
system.
our teams down here on the ground are now looking at systems on the tower. They just did a manual check through. That's going to inform that manual flight director's decision. Next moment coming up, though, is going to be hot staging.
That's the
Don't
really
take your
important
eyes
stage,
off it. It's
where
one
a
heck of a
jolt
light
and then
show.
jolt. It's gonna be
What a
effect.
gorgeous ascent.
That's a cool view. That's
6 ship
that's
engines
amazing
getting ready
see.
to ignite. That's going to happen while we're
See
still
cut off in a
attached.
few minutes. Is it going to cut up early? Wow, that'd be cool because they haven't cut
We
off
can
that
still
early.
see the ship's engines from the ground.
Got a little under 30 seconds away from that. We are hearing
see it's
good call
leaning now
outs
to a
on the
point
tower
where it can
preparedness, the
disengage
manual
and
checks.
push them
Reminder
down.
though, we've still got automated checkouts on the booster and the ship itself. But as of right now, our manual checks and our manual commanding is
Looks
looking
like
go
the
for a
pins are
catch.
okay.
Booster engine cutoff.
That is incredible
Cut off.
news.
There we go.
We just heard the call out for booster
right,
engine
Miko.
cutoff.
Engine startup.
Most engines cut
There
off
we
down to
go.
those
Stage
middle three.
separation.
Cut off.
Cruise port first startup.
Whoa, that's cool. It just fires off. I've never seen that before. Okay, one engine's down. That's fine. That's not too bad. We know one engine would
All right, hot
fail.
stage
Ship chamber
confirmed.
pressure
We've
is
got a
nominal.
booster hopefully on our its way back to us, and a ship now making its ascent burn into space. How's it going in Hawthorne, Jesse?
It's great over here. You can hear the crowd screaming for every milestone. The booster is now making its way back down to Earth. Looks like we have 12 of those 13 engines ignited. We're using the engines that actually gimbal.
We are go for booster return.
An excellent call out there. We are go for booster return.
Power and telemetry nominal.
Now we've got to go for
There's a
booster
lot of
landing,
criteria that
and
needed
that's
to
the most
line up to
important
ensure
thing.
that we could have a safe
shutdown.
booster catch, and it sounds like we got the go for that.
We've got a booster catch. Oh wow. Oh wow.
And there you can see on your screen,
Okay, that's insane.
we had the
That's early
we
as
just
well.
jettisoned
There's the
the
spring,
hot
there's the ring.
stage, and there's a
ring.
great,
that will land in the
excellent
sea.
view there
That'll
of
be
the hot
fine.
stage floating away from
They recover
the
that
super
usually.
heavy booster.
So
Now we've shut down the engines for that boost back
Now
burn. That
just
confirms
glide,
boost back burn
hopefully
is
glide
now
and not hit
complete.
the-
That was the first of 2 burns
needs to
required
bank
to
and then go
for the
down.
vehicle to make its way back
you
down
see, it
to
will
Earth.
bank slightly, it
And
has to
next
bank.
coming up will be the landing burn. That's going to be
the
13
landing
of
burn,
those
literally,
center
they fire
engines
all about
igniting
pendants
again.
and it will land.
And that will
That's insane.
then go down to from
By the way,
13 down to 3
is
engines just right
280
before
tons.
we touch down for that
Just
booster
to be
catch.
clarified.
Now, reminder,
Clarifying
our
that
stage 1
280 tons
objectives
coming
are
down
to have a
through
controlled
gravity.
ascent, stage separation, as well as a controlled boost back burn and hot stage as well. So we're looking good for that so far. Some great views there from the ship of Earth. That looks incredible.
Now the cameras should reflect, but I've noticed something. One of the
Now,
there's a cover
Starship's
to
ship
bounce
is
onto
still
chopsticks. It's
firing
damaged,
its
so I'm not-
engines right now.
I'm a
Starship
little bit
trajectory
concerned
nominal.
about that.
And
might be fine.
great call outs. Starship
Look at the
trajectory
coast. It's
is
going
nominal.
back to where it
You
started.
can follow along
That's
the
insane.
telemetry, the altitude in the bottom left-hand corner for the super heavy booster,
That's
as well as the
insane.
bottom right-hand corner for the ship. And these views are just amazing.
Look at that. That's going through the atmosphere now. And that's going through entry of atmosphere.
Again, the booster is currently making its way back to the tower
With the kilometers, altitude's
today.
going down.
So we're looking forward
About
to a booster catch with the
25
chopsticks.
kilometers. Usually
In the
that's
meantime,
close.
you can see those grid fins there helping to control the vehicle and
stabilizing
guide it
properly.
back to its landing site.
Booster FTS is saved.
Now with that, we're going to hand it back. How's it going over there, Dan and Kate? How are you doing, Kate? Seeing that in person?
You know, Dan had to take that entire segment because I couldn't talk. That was incredible.
There it is.
We can see the booster coming back in now through the plume. At least it looks that way to us. It's incredible that it basically returns. It looks like a speeding, just like this silver flare coming back to the once again, we are standing by for attempting to catch the booster at the tower. This would be the second tower catch.
Booster
Landing burn.
Landing burn has started.
Seeing 13 engines.
That's the chopsticks.
Booster now hovering as it aligns with the tower for catch.
Jeez.
Booster coming in. Ready for that boom.
Down to 3 engines.
No way. It's landed again. It's landed again. Oh, whoa. Okay. That's, jeez. It's landed again. That's 280 tons landed. Oh man, that's insane.
You heard it here. Mechzilla has caught the booster.
That's pretty insane.
Once again, for the second time, a successful catch by the launch tower. This is the same tower, the launch pad, where that booster took off from just 7.5 minutes ago. Great view from the chopstick arms, looking at those hypersonic grid fins that steer the booster for that precision landing. It almost looks like it's flapping its wings.
Yeah, you can see just how small that catch fitting is, too, on something that's just so massive.
No going to Starship.
That was absolutely insane.
Meanwhile,
we're not done, but wait, there's more.
It caught fire the last one slightly, but it's actually really stable.
That is just absolutely stunning.
Still, that's amazing. That's incredible, and it looks like it should.
And this, of course, a gorgeous view there from the tower, looking down at the top of the booster.
That's insane. That's some view, insaneness.
All right, and we are tracking.
That is so cool to see.
Now we're standing by for views from the ship, but who can take their eyes off of that incredible sight? That is once again the second catch of a booster back at the launch tower. It was incredible to see it come back down, just this silver flare in the sky. And we can still see the launch plume behind us, and wow, that we definitely I can't speak for you, Dan, but that was very moving for me.
Yeah, and right now you can see some of the telemetry on those ship engines has gone out, and we're waiting for an update on what our ship status is. We were approaching that ship engine cutoff time, so just waiting to hear. So obviously, we've got booster back, booster on the launch tower in the chopstick arms, but we are waiting to get an update now on the ship.
So we don't know what's happened.
As we were expecting ship engine cutoff about 40 seconds ago. We saw some of those engines start to go out prior to that point. And so right now we are just standing by to try and get the latest word on where we are with ships. So stick with us for just a couple of minutes as we wait to hear some updates.
Now, if you just recently joined us, you might want to hit rewind and go back about 9-10 minutes ago to when Starship lifted off from the launch tower that you see there. We had a gorgeous ascent followed by a stage separation where the ship separated from the super heavy booster. The booster performed a flip maneuver and returned back to the Gulf Coast here. There you can see it on your screen. Obviously a successful successful catch back at the launch tower, which is something that we were all hoping to see and really couldn't ask for a more beautiful background with those blue skies and blue water there. As Dan said, we are standing by for an update on the ship that had ignited its engines and started making its way up to space. So standing by for more info on that.
Oh, everything's frozen.
But wow, what an experience to see that take off and for that booster to come back. You can see it there up close on your screen to the place that it launched from. Once again, there were thousands of catch commit criteria, which is basically just all the things that we have to assess and evaluate and basically make sure that they are, make sure that everything is clear and acceptable conditions, both on the vehicle side as well as the tower side in order to enable that catch. So obviously from the last two flights that we have done where the Flight 6 we attempted but had to divert into the ocean, and then on Flight 5 we did have the first ever successful catch of the booster. We used the learnings of those two flights to hone in that catch commit criteria, and we saw success today, which is pretty awesome.
And just a quick status check. So we currently do not have comms with the ship. So I'm trying to figure out exactly when that happened and exactly what happened. So obviously the flight controllers right now going through their data, looking to make sure it's not anything instrumentation on the ship, but actually try and get us a status. So again, we're gonna keep listening in on this. We'll give you an update as soon as we have a little bit more. So for now, stage 1 back in the tower, waiting to find out a little bit more about stage 2.
And they're red. We're waiting for an announcement from Starship to see if it's still there or not. For this long, it's a bit concerning. It's very concerning that there's been no announcement for the last while. It's a bit concerning now. It's starting to concern me that we haven't had an announcement for 4 minutes. 5 minutes really. 5 minutes. No. 4 minutes. Usually we get an announcement by now. So we're now I'm a bit like, hang on.
Alright. So if you are just tuning in, we caught a booster. But we are still waiting to find out a little bit more on the ship. So it had successfely separated. We did that hot staging maneuver. We did see all 6 of ship's engines on the way uphill during its ascent. But as we were getting to the end of that ascent burn, we saw engines dropping out on telemetry, and we have since lost contact with the ship. So again, we're still listening in on the loops, trying to figure out how much we can get right now. But again, stick with us. We'll bring you updates as soon as we hear them. Really exciting. We were able to catch the booster today. Obviously, we want to get the ship all the way over to the Indian Ocean. May not be able to do that at this point, but we'll give you some updates as soon as we hear a little bit more about the ship.
For those that didn't catch earlier, this was a new version of the ship. This was its debut flight. So a lot of learnings here for sure as we continue to tune in and listen in with the teams and try to gather more information to understand where we stand with the ship. But as Dan mentioned before, teams are trying to make sure that it's not an instrumentation error. We want to find out if it's, did we just lose communication or did something else happen with the ship? So teams are actively working, trying to figure out what we can find out, and we're continuing to listen in and find out more information to share as we can.
At the same time,
but as we said before, and you can see it there on your screen, what a beautiful, beautiful sight to see another booster back at the launch tower. That was successfully caught just minutes ago after sending the ship off into space, and having seen it for the first time with my own eyeballs in person, it was pretty awesome. And Yeah, the thunder-like sonic boom was really fun to experience.
Yeah. So we are getting a little bit more. So we did lose all communications with the ship. So I mean that is essentially telling us that we had an anomaly with that upper stage. So we're just coming up to the end of that ascent burn for the ship when we stopped when we started to lose a couple of the engines. We saw those dropping out, and then we did lose telemetry from the ship, so that means we didn't have contact with it. So at this point, we are assuming that the ship has been lost. So this was a brand new vehicle, essentially. This was kind of an upgrade version. So with that, there's a lot of things you're upgrading, but there's a lot of things you're going to learn as all those systems are now interacting with each other for the first time. But at this point, we did lose the upper stage of the ship. So again, we're gonna listen in and try and figure out a little bit more about what happened. And obviously, we'll do kind of a full breakdown once we get smarter ourselves in the coming hours and days as well.
For sure. Now, for those that have recently tuned in, we're now a little over T plus 16 and a half minutes after liftoff. We do believe that we have lost the ship during its ascent phase. It's successfully separated from the Super Heavy booster, but during that ascent phase, a couple of the engines dropped out, and then shortly thereafter we lost communication with the vehicle. So we are assuming that we have lost the ship, but we are standing by to confirm that, and once we can, we will. But this was a new version of the ship, of Starship, and it was intentionally designed and flown in order to basically test the envelope, as we have done with every one of these test flights. The keyword there being test, and really trying to understand the boundaries and the maximums for the ability of this vehicle to fly and understand where those boundaries are. So we always knew that excitement is guaranteed today, success not guaranteed. And so yeah, we are standing by to see if we can learn more about the status of the ship.
I say it's successfully flown, at least, and a recapture attempt was official. It's venting means it's getting rid of all that, fuel. It vents all the fuel. Looks like the venting lines are online. Vents all the fuel, gets rid of it all. They can then lower it and go back to yard for the re-evaluation. It looks like they have installed the vents underneath where the fuel lines are. Pretty cool. We'd like to see that. Looks like the wings have now balanced as well. Like the grid fins are balanced, well-ly balanced. The chopsticks are holding still. By the way, when they did the first landing, they had to replace all the actuators, so all the pistons were actually replaced, the newer and more tougher. And by the way, they filled up those. They had loads of bags of sand they used for testing for NASA, and they filled it, and all of the bags continued to 780 tons, and these choppers just bending. So that's how much weight it can take. It's a lot. That's the vents now fully on. I don't think we can get anything else for the next few minutes. We are now nearly 20 minutes in, and we haven't got a notification from Starship. We might have just completely lost it. It might have gone wrong somewhere. This is not great, because Starship is the primary mode of transport, and that's failed. It makes me feel a bit like they've achieved what they were intended to do to land the booster, but they were achieving so much more, and something in the critical system must have gone wrong, and that makes everyone, and including probably me, all the viewers and everyone else, just like, what? Really? After all that work they put in, it's not great to see it blow up. And it's a V2, so it's been into a few fine tunes, and a few things have been altered to make it work more efficient, but that efficiency could have resulted in an actual problem. That could be the case as well. So it's not great. I do like the view. I think the view is looking nice. So many views can get any better than that. If you skip back, go and watch the landing. If you skip back, go and watch the landing of the booster. If you skip a bit more forwards into that, you'll see us lose connection. I'm waiting for re-established connection with Starship. We lost connection 8 or 9 minutes ago, and we haven't had a word back. We are thinking that it might have been terminated, but we do not know yet. It looks like all the vents have opened underneath the engines. That's good. It means they're venting. All the oxygen, all the liquid fuel's being vented. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. So some cameras might have captured the hot stage when it hit the water. We'll see that hopefully soon. Everyone's a little bit concerned that we haven't had any fallout of Starship yet. It could be that they've lost just camera connection, but something's gone wrong on the engine system, so they're trying to fix it, or they will have to terminate the rocket. I haven't got any really good news at the moment, since this is not happened yet. So the vents I've just seen are located where those huge tubes are around the engines. Those are the ejectors. So they will eject all the fuel out underneath, and that will disperse, and then it will cool down. It'll be landed. It'll be put back to the processing plant. Starship battery, and it could be reused, or it could be destroyed, or it could be saved. I think it will be destroyed. They usually get rid of the ships at the moment because they can't reuse them. Well, they've made them reusable, but if they're damaged severely, they might not be able to. But I think this one might be able to be reused again. It's just some fine-tuning you have to do. It's the first V2 ship. Currently, we have lost connection with Starship. We have the booster just landed about 4 or 5 minutes ago. We have just lost the countdown. It's more concerning. I'm now guessing we have completely just lost Starship. I don't think we can recover. We're waiting for a call out to see if it's been terminated or not. We do not know what has just happened. We have just lost connection, where they lost connection with it about 7 or 8, 9, about 10 minutes ago now. We have lost connection 10 minutes ago, and are waiting for a call out to see if it's been terminated, or we have just lost flight connection. At the moment, we have seen that the venting has started on the booster to get rid of all liquid nitrogen oxygen. We're just waiting for this call out. As you can see, the liquid oxygen tanks are cooling down. Do we have
Thanks everyone for continuing to stick around as we were checking in on the status of the ship. At this point in time, we can confirm that we did lose the ship. However, Starship, the total vehicle, did have an on-time liftoff at 4:37 p.m. Central Time from the launch pad just behind us at Starbase Texas. Gorgeous ascent and successful stage separation. The booster pushed the ship off, and the ship disconnected during that stage separation. The booster came back for a successful, the second ever booster catch at the launch tower, which was pretty incredible to see.
Yeah, it was great to see the booster come down, but
I reckon the payload door might have
obviously
failed,
bummed out about
because
ship. It looked like we lost contact with it a little under 8.5 minutes into flight. That's roughly when you start to get to that main engine cutoff.
And it caused all of that air to go and expand.
We obviously need to go through all the data. It's going to take some time in the next hours, days. We're going to figure out exactly what happened, come back, fly the next one, get even farther. Reminder, it's a test. It's a flight test. It's an experimental vehicle. So we'll figure out what ended our day today and make sure it doesn't end our day tomorrow. So as we do that, we're going to continue to provide you updates on our X account on SpaceX.com. So just continue to tune in there as we learn what happened. We'll be ready to share it.
Exactly. So
I
for now,
can't-
we
I
are
can't
going
sit
to
back. I
wrap up our webcast. We'd like to thank the folks in the county for supporting the launch, as well as the agencies that enable us to launch, and of course to our viewers for tuning in.
And thank you, Kate, for coming down, doing this with me. It was great to have you here.
I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us. We'll see you guys at the next Starship flight test.
So if you're now just tuning in, it's the end, and we have lost Starship. It exploded. We assumed it's now been terminated. It means it's been destroyed. Booster was catched. If you skip back, the booster was catched. The attempt was successful. Unfortunately, the Starship has blown up, and we hope that next time it survives. Hope you all enjoyed this. We'll see you in the next one. I hope you all enjoy this again. And if you have any questions, please comment below. Don't be afraid to ask, because I get annoyed by that. Don't be afraid to ask me any questions about Starship Flight 7 or any other Starships before that, as I know most things now and I keep researching into it every day. Don't be alarmed if this failed. The next one hopefully won't fail, and we'll have a successful flight. Don't you worry. It'll all be great, hopefully next time. So, as I say, stay safe. Stay safe. Keep watching Starship or SpaceX or any other rocket company you want and any game you want. And I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.